Hello guys, I'm William. Welcome to another Trigger TV episode. So this is going to be part 2 of the 249 operations guide. So in this video we're going to go through some of the gun maintenance stuff and also how to add on and use some of the accessories on the gun that we did not cover in part 1. So when it comes to gun maintenance, at the end of the day it is a gas blowback gun, which means that the magazine and the gun have to be maintained. We'll talk about the magazine first because it's the most simple maintenance process. First thing we're going to talk about is the included 30 round Stanag type gas mag. Like all GBBR magazines, when you store the mag, you have to leave it with some gas. For the small mag, we usually recommend putting about 2 seconds of green gas, like so, and then you can leave the mag for storage. The green gas has silicone oil inside to make sure all the components are lubricated, and then the low pressure make sure that the O-rings are nice and secure. With the much larger mag, in the user manual for the mag, VFC recommends this to be under moderate pressure, so we're looking at about 5 seconds or so. So same thing, you have your filling port, or if you take out the gas tank, you can fill at the bottom. But basically you'll hold it in there for about 5 seconds, and then you can set the magazine aside. That's all you need to do for the maintenance of the gas mags, and also just to make sure that there's no debris in the seals on the top. So when filling the gas mags, we're also assuming that the mags have no gas at all. Obviously, depending on the temperature and depending on how much rounds you shoot out, sometimes you'll have residual gas. If you do have residual gas, then you don't need to put in any extra gas. So now we're going to move on to how to maintain the actual gun itself. So now we're going to talk about the maintenance and cleaning of the actual gun itself. Before we do the cleaning and maintaining process, we're just going to go over a few things that make everything a lot easier. First of all is the bipod. The gun has the bipod folded in, just to show you guys how everything works. So when you get the gun, it's going to look like this. So the bipod's actually going to be in the handguard itself. It's going to be flush. To undo the bipod, just pinch anywhere on the bipod, usually at the bottom, and then just swing it out. As you swing it out, you'll see at the top here, there is a notch. Just make sure that it's in the hole, and then as you open, it's spring loaded, so it's going to come out in the lock position. To fold it back in, same thing, you just kind of pinch the bipod. As you rotate the bipod through, there's actually these hooks, the hook inside the handguard. So once it's all the way in, just let go and it'll be hooked. So it's pretty easy. So we'll undo the bipod. Second thing, we will be removing the barrel. So the grip itself will be folded in. All you need to do is you just need to rotate it up and it'll be locked in the lock position. There is a spring on the inside. There you go. Later we'll show you how to remove it, but basically it'll make everything a lot easier. To fold the grip, you basically push back and then just rotate down. So as you push back against the spring, you'll see that you can start rotating it outside the notch and rotate down and just let it go. And the spring will push it forward under tension and it'll be folded. Okay. So now that that's done, we can start doing the process of disassembling the gun. First thing, we'll make sure that the bolt's forward, and we'll also take out the magazine if there is a magazine. Set that to the side. So again, make sure the bolt is forward. If the bolt is not forward, so if it's like this, for example, again, we'll follow the same procedures as in part 1 of the video. Pull the charging handle all the way back, press the trigger, and then slowly let the bolt go forward under control. Lock the charging handle in, and just let go of the trigger. From now, we can disassemble the gun. To disassemble, you have a pin right here. The pin only goes one way. On the other side of the gun, you'll see this big piece right here that says F, so it only pulls out to the left. All you're gonna do is you're gonna press down on the pin, and then you can pull to the end. The pin is captive, so it'll stay inside the gun. It won't come out all the way, so you don't have to worry about losing the pin itself. Gotta move this gun here. From here, the stock will actually pivot on this hinge, like so, and you'll see the recoil spring guide here. How this is going to work is you're going to press in a little bit and lift up. Like this, and it'll kind of come out on its own. There is a little bit of spring tension. This is why it's important to make sure that the bolt's forward, because if the bolt's all the way back, the spring will be compressed and this thing will shoot out. So this is the recoil spring assembly. From here, you'll pull on the charging handle all the way to the end, and you'll see the bolt stick out. Basically, you'll pull out the entire bolt assembly group like so. From here, we can just kind of close the stock. The gun itself does not need to be disassembled any further. This is as far as the field stripping goes. You can even close the dust cover if needed. Lastly, we'll remove the barrel. You have your barrel takedown latch here. So you basically press all the way here. From here, you can actually grasp the barrel, kind of wiggle everything out, and the whole barrel assembly will come out. This is your hop-up chamber as well. It's attached to the outer barrel unit. So this is as far as the field stripping goes for cleaning and maintenance of the 249. From here, you can set the gun aside. We'll focus on the internal components first. We'll start with the barrel. It is the easiest one to do. Because everything is attached, it's very easy to look down the barrel, make sure that it's clean and free of obstruction. From here, if you need to clean the barrel, what we'll usually recommend you do, the gun does not come with a cleaning rod, but you can use any airsoft cleaning rod, plastic one please. You'll take a paper towel sheet. Make sure it's good quality paper towel, so like Bounty, any of the big name brands, so it doesn't fray. It would take about a 1-inch size. So for reference, a 1-inch size. So you would take about 1-inch paper towel, so this is my hand as a reference. No oil, no lubricant. Feed it through. Make sure it's even on both sides. And you'll run it through barrel. And then pull out. So you can see, even with the new gun, there's just a little bit of dirt and dust, most likely from their internal testing. And basically you'll keep removing and adding new patches and keep running through the barrel until it's clear. So that is for the inner barrel itself. We'll set this aside. Recoil spring assembly does not need to be lubricated. The spring itself stays on the spring guide. Just make sure that there's no big pieces of debris or any like leaves, dirt, mud and stuff. If there is, just wipe it off. But other than that, you don't need to touch the recoil assembly. So this is the heart of the gun. It is a gas piston, well, mock gas piston. You'll see that there's this long rod piston in here. So this basically sits on the bottom of the gun. We recommend using silicone oil. Please do not use any WD-40, CLP, real firearm lubricants. Most of them is designed to remove carbon and rust. So if you try to use it on airsoft, it's going to damage the plastic components. So we do not recommend using those. If you're looking for some lubricant, we do sell this. It's just puff dyno silicone oil, but any sort of plastic safe silicone based lubricant, you can use it on the gun. So when it comes to lubrication, first thing we'll do, if there's old oil on there, because as you shoot the gun, there might be metal shavings and stuff as the gun runs through, we want to remove it. So kind of just take our paper towel. We'll wipe all the old oil off of it. This gun is pretty new, so it's most likely clean. So it's going to be mostly on the back portion because the piston does not actually come into contact with the gun all the time. This is the actual part that runs on the guide rail, so this is going to be your high friction areas. So once we remove the oil, we'll kind of just make sure all the components are good, make sure there's no damages on the nozzle, make sure that the feeding tip on the nozzle is good, the nozzle itself is good. We can also pull this out a little bit just to inspect the internal components. So make sure there's no damage, check the bolt carrier group, make sure there's no damage. So from here, we can do our lubricant. So this is a machine gun. You can use a little bit more lubricant than you usually do for, let's say, your AR or AK platforms. Again, we'll be lubing the high friction areas. So you have your guide rails that stick out like this on the back. You'll have, again, guide rails on the other side. And then the most important part, we're actually going to lubricate inside the nozzle. There is an O-ring in there. Because this is LMG, it shoots a high round count, so the O-ring can get dry, and then that's where you get misfeeding issues. So from here, we'll use a decent amount of lubricant. You can use a Q-tip, or kind of just run your fingers across. Make sure that the oil gets all over. Do the other side. You want to use a decent amount, but not too much, where it's actually going to gunk up the whole system. So just a light coat. Just run it through kind of everything here. And then from the nozzle, pull as far forward, and you're actually going to spray inside here. And then you can actually pull the nozzle back and forth. Make sure that the lubricant runs in the back. You can tilt the bolt carrier group. So now that's done for the bolt carrier. Again, just a light coat on the guide rails. So we'll set this aside. Now for the gun. So the gun's fairly simple. It opens up, it's basically a hollow chunk of metal. We are not going to lubricate any of the components in the front. It is, you don't need to do that because this is just to facilitate the gas mag and the feeding tubes. We'll basically lubricate the rails, so you'll see that there's already a little bit of wear on the top here. So this is where the rails are going to ride onto. There's one on both sides. This one's actually covered by the mock dummy round device. So just spray. Again, just a nice light coat. Again, we recommend using the Puff Dino silicone spray because the nozzle allows you to get into the small gritty areas. So once we do that, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to have the trigger piece. So the trigger just pivots down to let the bolt go forward. It's a very simple device. We're actually just going to lubricate a little bit on the top because this is going to come into contact with the bolt carrier group. Again, you can use your fingers or a Q-tip. So that is done for the gun. So now we're going to talk about the reassembly process and putting everything together. I'm going to close the dust cover to make everything easier here. So we'll do the barrel. One thing to know about the barrel, make sure that it is aligned. There's a little stud here. If it's not aligned, the barrel won't go in. And the second thing is you have a fake gas block. So this gas block is actually going to come into this little hole here. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your barrel, align the hop up. As you press the barrel in, you might have to depress the latch. to make it a little bit easier as you slide in. So it should just slide in and lock all the way. So just make sure that everything is locked together. So just to show you an incorrect way of doing it, if the gun is not locked in, there is a gap here, and you see that there's a lot of silver and you can see a gap on the inside. With the new gun, you might have to wiggle it in by the charging handle. You might have to just press the front side post. But once it's locked, there should be no gaps at where the barrel sits and where the piston sits. So from here, okay, we'll grab the cover. We'll pivot the stock again. So again, it's upside down, so it's this way. So people that are familiar with AKs, you know that the piston goes up, but for LMG, the piston goes down because it feeds from the top. We're gonna slide this in. You will have, it's hard to see, but there is actually a hole underneath the feed tray. So where my finger is, there's actually a hole underneath. This is where the piston goes. You might have to wiggle this in. So once the piston's partially in, you will align the guide rails of the bolt carrier with the actual rail of the gun. So you might have to wiggle this piece in like this. So it should, once it's in, it should be easily able to move. So I'll show you again. So if you see this side, it should just kind of guide right in and start moving. Okay. You can press this down as far as it will go. You'll note that when I press this as far as it'll go, it'll stop. This is because the trigger is actually blocking it. So if you look at it from the top, just to show you guys again, you're gonna press as far as it'll go until it does not go forward. Do not force it in. All you're gonna do is you're actually gonna press the trigger. As you press the trigger, the sear on the trigger is going to drop, and this whole thing will be able to slide forward to the forwardmost position. You can let go of the trigger. Make sure the charging handle is cocked all the way to the front. And then you'll note that the bolt carrier is fully forward when you can see the end of the trigger piece right here. You can see it stick out. So if I press the trigger, you'll see it move. So that's how you know you got the bolt carrier all the way through. So from here, you'll take your spring guide. You'll note that the spring guide has the same edges on both sides. You'll see that the pin is even. It doesn't really matter which way it goes because it's uniform. What we do recommend is if you are concerned if it's not going the wrong way, just make sure you have the serial number facing upwards. You'll stick this at the bottom. There will be a hole at the bottom of the bolt carrier. You'll see these two guide rails on the right and on the left. The ears of the pin will actually go in. See there, like that. So you see again. Oh, get you guys a good view. So you see the ears will actually go in. You're gonna press in and down, and it'll be locked. From here, you're gonna close the stock. You'll know if you did this right if the stock closes. If the stock does not close, you have not installed that right. Once the stock is forward, press all the way to the end until you hear the click, and we'll do a basic function check. You can do the function check with the cover open or closed. We'll have it open just to show you guys everything works. So again, make sure the gun is on fire and off safe. Cock the gun to the rear. Put the gun on safe. Attempt to fire. The gun should not fire. Take the gun off safe. Again, it's unloaded, so we want to make sure that the bolt goes forward under control. We're going to pull the charging handle back. Press the trigger, ride the charging handle forward, and we know the gun works. Now, last thing, close the dust cover. And there you go. That is how you disassemble, clean, and then reassemble the 249. So once you get the pin out, the pin is captive, so it won't come all the way out. To remove the foregrip, you basically slide forward and down, like so. Inside is really simple. You'll see the pin here. There's a captive spring. So as you push the pin forward, the spring will expand. As you push the pin from the other side, it should come all the way out. In the event that the pin is too tight, if you accidentally tap the pin all the way out, the spring will come out and it should be in your handguard. So just be careful of that. You can reinstall the spring. Basically, you just take pliers, put the pin where there's a slot, and just push it in. But again, the pin won't come all the way out. It should stay inside like so. To install your new hand grip, each handguard should come with a pin. If not, you can reuse the pin on the inside, but they should come with it. So assuming we have the quad rail, it should slide on. So you'll slide forward. So once you slide it all the way forward, you're actually gonna slide, so you see how there's a little bit of plastic marks, but basically you're gonna slide the handguard as far back as it will go. If you look inside, the holes should be aligned. And you basically push the pin in. And it should go in easily. So you see on the right side, the pin should go in. You can use a tool, just again, fingertip strength, and it should click easily. You should hear a loud click. Give the handguard a tug, and the handguard should stay in place. Okay, so that is how to install aftermarket handguards. Again, depending on what comes out in the future, the handguard design might be different. So consult the user manuals for those type of handguards before installing them, because there might be a little bit different procedures to follow. So now we're going to talk about the stock. Currently on the market, at least from VFC, there is two different stock options. You have the retractable one, you also have the para stock. As of the filming of this video, both of them are currently out of stock, but we do have more of the accessories coming in, which includes the rail handguard and also the other stock options as well. So stay tuned for those. We will be getting more. Right now, we do have the retractable stock, which we'll use as a demo of how to switch out the stock. Regardless of which stock options, they will go on the same way. So first thing we need to do, because we need to hinge the stock itself, we just want to make sure that the bolt carrier is all the way forward, because again, from the earlier disassembly video, if the bolt carrier is all the way back, the spring, the recoil spring will shoot out. So we just need to make sure that it's forward, which it already is in. So unlike the disassembly, which is this pin here, there is another pin underneath. We'll press it down right to left. Should come out as far as it'll go. From here, you'll see that the trigger group actually will drop out a little bit. So like that, it'll drop out a little bit. Then you'll press the takedown pin. So get it. There we go. Now be careful, because there is a little bit of spring tension from the recoil spring assembly, so the stock might shoot out. We'll pull as far as it'll go, and then the whole thing should wiggle out. Just make sure that it's, there we go. You hear it click. Should come out like so. From here, take a new stock. So we'll start again, top down, so make sure there's no gaps. It should fit flush. We'll push the takedown pin all the way forward. Might have to press all the way in. Clicks. Make sure that the trigger group goes all the way up, and then you'll push the pin from the other side through, and it should lock. Okay, From here, if you want to check to see if you've done it correctly, both the pins, the takedown pins should be flush. The stock should be nice and secure. And now you got your new stock on the 249. With the para stock and the retractable stock, you do have this nice feature here. You have this metal bar. The bar, all it does, it just lifts up like so. This is if you're in the prone or in any supported position, you can rest the gun on your shoulders, so you don't have to keep holding it up. To retract, this little piece just collapses down. So that is it on the accessories for the 249 and also for part 2 of this video. For those that clicked on this video, if you have not seen part 1 covers how to operate the gun. Part 2, this video covers the accessories and how to clean and maintain the gun. We do hope that you enjoy this product, and make sure you do try to memorize as much as you can, because the operation of this is different from your standard gas gun. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If your friends own a 249 and they're not sure how to do it, you can send them this video. If you have any tips on how to do any of the operations better, feel free to leave the comment down below, or any sort of tips or opinions, leave it down in the comment section down below. If you want to check this gun out in person, please do visit our come-in store. You can take a look, and also you can take a look at this product online. But that is it for today. This is Trigger Soft signing out.